Yasmine Arrington is not your average Elon student. She's a model, a singer, and she started her own nonprofit. The 21-year-old from Washington, D.C. is creating a new life for herself, and that's been her goal since she walked on campus. Her smile can light up a room.
And
her laugh is contagious. And it's no secret her childhood was anything but ordinary.
My father was in and out of the prison system, and he still is, even today.
Yasmine was 3 when her father went to prison for the first time. He was incarcerated multiple times over the next 15 years on several charges, from small theft to dealing drugs. She never visited him, never called him, and never knew him.
How did that make you feel growing up?
A lot of times I felt sad and confused, particularly when I was much younger. But in my father's case, I said, okay, well, am I not good enough? Does he love me?
She says without her father around, her mother became more like her sister than her parent. But her mother's anger toward her father was obvious.
It made me almost hate him, and I felt upset at him because he made my mother upset.
In fact, when her father was released from prison when Yasmine was 7, her mother didn't tell her, and she was never allowed to see him. Her mother suffered from severe depression. As she became sicker, her mother encouraged Yasmine to have a relationship with her father.
And when she said that, I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. While I was growing up this whole time, you're like, your father he just needs help and he's troubled and, these types. It would always be negative. But then later on, before she passed, all of a sudden she said, you know what, if you decide to have a relationship with your father, it's okay with me.
When Yasmine was 14, her mother died. After moving in with her grandmother, she still questioned why her father wasn't around.
We had like a father-daughter tea at brunch or something at my school. And so I would have to bring my grandfather or my uncle if they were available. And that just kind of hurt. And then when people would talk about how awesome their dad is and, oh gosh, I'm trying not to cry. But I'm fine now, but that's something I can't relate to when people talk about it.
It wasn't until Yasmine was 18 years old that she took her mother's advice and reached out to her father.
I saw this really tall guy in this big baggy white shirt and jeans and a cap, and he was smoking. And he was like, "Hi, Yasmine, how are you?" And I don't even know how to explain it. I looked at him and I said, whoa, I look just like him.
Before doing this story, Yasmine and her father had a falling out. She wasn't even sure if her dad was locked up or not. But in a quest to find him again, 30 Minutes tracked down her father, Tony Arrington. He is recently out of jail and living and working in Wilson, North Carolina. The two met and reconciled.
See, I lost a little weight.
Yeah, you look good. Okay.
I got on a weight belt right now, but I lost a little weight.
I've been doing that too.
Yeah.
I have been regulating my.
What kind of shoes you wearing?
You don't hit on my shoes.
I ain't hating.
Sitting together, looking at each other, what are you thinking?
That's my kid.
That's my daddy.
Tony remembers being inseparable from Yasmine.
I come home, take a shower, lay on the floor, put on lamb chop. She'd lay on my back and watch it and go to sleep.
He says he searched for Yasmine for years before being incarcerated a second time in 2006, when Yasmine was 13.
I missed my daughter. From 7 years old to 12 years old, I look for my daughter. I walk down Underwood Street in Washington, D.C., time and time again, hoping to see my child.
He knows the pain he and Yasmine have been through dealing with his incarceration, and he never wants that to happen to anyone else in his family.
He's one of the reasons why I haven't had any more children, is because I felt like the hurt that I felt about not being able to raise Yaz, as much as I loved her, she was like a gift to me from God.
And he says being away from her nearly broke him.
You see these tears? I'm a grown man. I cried a lot. Yeah. She was a gift. And I was mad at God because I'm like, how in the hell you gonna give me a gift and take it away from me? I was mad at God for a minute. I'm like, why are you being a jerk to me? Why are you being a jerk to her? She didn't know these things.
But Yasmine is just one of millions of children with incarcerated parents. That's why she started Scholarships, a scholarship program for students with parents in prison. She gives book awards and financial scholarships to students in the DC area. She currently has 8 students on her program, including...
You will be our first graduate.
Oh,
Yes. And don't look at me like that because you're graduating. So
I am, but it's like, oh, reality.
yeah,
Winston-Salem student Gabrielle Gould. Gould's parents are both in prison for life. Her mother was arrested when she was 5 months pregnant with her. Gould is not close with her parents, and after hearing about scholarships, she reached out to Yasmine.
Honestly, to me, it goes beyond just a scholarship. I would not talk about my experiences before this. I would be very closed. Oh, you don't need to know my story type of thing. But from meeting her and meeting someone who went through something similar, who was able to talk about it, it's like, oh, I can talk about my own story.
While Yasmine is busy helping other college students, she's also busy piecing together her own life. Her relationship with her father is still growing, and she hopes her friendship with other students and scholarships can inspire a strong future for her family.
I can be the new daddy. I don't have to be the daddy that they told her about. I don't have to be the daddy that she thought I was. I can be her father now.
I don't have any judgment. I don't have any grudges. And I think that's the most beautiful part about it. And I want people to be able to learn from that.
Yasmine and her father have reconciled, and the thing he treasures most in their new relationship is the simple phone call.
This child here, I am very, very proud of her. I love her when she calls me. Yeah, man. It almost, it's very emotional when I talk to her, you know what I mean? But I'm not a punk, y'all gotta forgive me, but yeah, I appreciate that me and her can talk. She's an adult now. She's 21. Just turned 21 February 17th. You know what I mean? And it's like, for my child to be able to call me now when she gets ready, it means a lot to me. So, that's that. You know what I mean? Next question.